Happy Monday, beautiful people. Ooh. Can y'all hear me? I forgot I had my volume down. Avaya, greetings. Prince, shalom, shalom. Kendra, hey, girl, hey. Boom, there we go. Yes. I'm already started. Before you started? Yes, I started already. What did you need?
I'm going to show you this, but I can't.
Oh, it's a video?
Yes.
What it say? Look at that. Let's see. Go ahead and play it. Sorry, Facebook.
So basically, beat it, all right? So I walk in class. If you laugh 2 times, you die. You're done.
This one, no bueno. This one, I'm confident.
Guys. What does every American look like a fucking GTA character?
Fortnite back bling.
Are you serious,
Oh,
my
yeah.
brother?
Why are you even watching this? It's supposed to be making me laugh.
Just embarrass me.
USA, I got a feeling that it's gonna be a wonderful.
Smog the little girl. Man, they got Morgan Steve Harvey.
Bye, boy. I thought this was something educational you wanted to share with me. Isaiah, it's a video where you ain't supposed to laugh. It wasn't funny. I lost my train of. Let me lose my train of thought. Next time I know in the morning, unless he's looking distraught or something in the face, I'm be like, this gonna have to wait, boy. This is gonna have to wait. Okay, beautiful people. Happy Monday. It is December the 19th, 2022. Day 292 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1311. Today we're picking up in the book of Apollo, but we're going to read it directly from the John Lamp plates. But in Big Blue, it starts on page 88. I'm almost certain of it. Page 88. And if you got the John Lamp plates, at the bottom of the page, it's page, go figure, 89. Yeah. But at the top it says page 1, clearly because it's page 1 of the book of Apollo, but at the bottom it's page 89. Okay. Here in Big Blue, page 89 is still the book of Sue. So I am wrong. I'm wrong. That's not where Apollo starts. Hold up. Apollo starts on 95. What I do here? Oh, I must have. I didn't do that right. Yep, that's wrong. That's not 88. This is 95. Because I marked it wrong the other day. That's why. Because I pulled my notes from the previous day. But if I do it wrong the previous day, I keep moving wrong. Okay. All right. So a Book of Apollo starts on page 95 in Big Blue. And it's page 89 in the John Lamp plates. And after we read from there, we're going to jump on over to the Field Guide to the Spirit World and pick back up on page 196. Father, we thank you that you have chosen to reconcile all things by love, light, and peace, and good works done unto each other. He's like the best accountant, and he got the best bookkeepers on staff. I figured I'd make it a little mathematical today because I got to meet with the CPA early. So I'm like, you know what, Father, thank you that you are the best reconciler of all things. All right, y'all. VR to say hey and Prince to you. Shalom, shalom. Kendra, hey girl, hey Ema, set apart, living TV, Grand Rising, Elijah, peace and blessings. Shayla, cousin, hey girl, hey. Jaway, Grand Rising, Vinette, blessings, family. Dawn, blessings, love and light. Shebrew, all praises to the Creator. And everybody else here already hanging out in the background on Facebook and YouTube. Top of the morning to you. All right, y'all. So let's get started. Okay, so here in the John Land plates, the Book of Apollo, it's a pretty clear read. So I'm gonna read through. I did not get a chance yesterday because I just didn't. My day went on a little longer than what I expected, working on this first portion of my 15-page term paper. I was like, I can't let the weeks get away from me. So I was working on that pretty much all day yesterday, trying to bring my words together, trying to even get the paper started. So I didn't get a chance to come back here and skim through it. So for those who want to kind of look back and forth while I'm reading it from the John Land plates, and I kind of move my fingers along just to make sure I'm keeping my spot just in case there is a change. So if there's a change, make a note and I'll look up periodically just to see. All right, yeah, so let's get started. Fritz, shalom, Darius, shalom, shalom. Okay, Book of Apollo, son of Jehovah, being the heavenly administration of Apollo, an Ethereal god, son of Jehovah. That says the same thing. Okay. Apollo, son of Je, right? So remember I mentioned the other day that it seems like Je is shortened for Jehovah because it has now, I can see clearly here, I couldn't really see it in some of the other portions that I read, but there's a period after Je, Jeh, like it is shortened from Jehovah. Here in the lowest edition, we don't ever see Je. I don't even remember seeing Je in a footnote. I could be wrong. It could be there, but they just spelled it out all the way, made it uniform all the way through. Big Blue. All right. Apollo, son of Je, resident of Pitimus, and I'm probably saying it wrong. It could be Timus. The P could be silent. Resident, let me just say Timus. Jamia Shalom. Resident of Timus in Etheria and god of Sufad and Donga and Ta in the south province of Baru, Orion chief, controller of vortices, said, I, Apollo, once a mortal, proclaim first wisdom, peace, and patience unto all men, and comprehensive judgment whereof I speak. Second, to perceive the reason of things as to what seemeth to have been and of what cometh. The reason of things, the reason of things as to what seemeth to have been and what cometh after. And that's the end of verse 2. For the great spirit is all harmony and perfection, abounding in time and in worlds to accomplish all possible imaginings. Wherefore be ye magnificent. Maybe that's magnificent. Be ye magnificent in conception. Yeah, that's what it says here. Be ye, no, I'm sorry, not magnificent, magnified. Well, that makes better sense. That was it was kind of cut off in the John Land place. We're in the Book of Apollo, y'all, chapter 1, verse 3. In a John Land place. So it doesn't have the number, so I just got to kind of follow along. Okay. For the great spirit is all harmony and perfection, abounding in time and in worlds to accomplish all possible imaginings. Wherefore, be ye magnified in conception, not judging by the little understanding of mortals, so that he, let me use this because I'm losing my spot. Okay, let me just go back to the beginning, verse 3. For the Great Spirit is all harmony and perfection, abounding in time and in worlds to accomplish all possible imaginings. Wherefore, be ye magnified in conception, not judging by the little understanding of mortals, so that he that asserteth harmony, being more to the order of Je than that ill form. Let's cut off again. Ill-formed, okay. So that he asserteth harmony, being more to the order of Je than that ill-formed and out of time, than that. Yeah, they moved out, which is that which is ill-formed. Okay, not a big change. Then that ill-formed and out of time hath little reason to prove his assertion before a wise man, as one may assert that ripe fruit is nearer perfection than green, which assertion is self-evident without proof. So in the understanding of gods and the management of worlds are things past and present, not things past and present in fact, but more like the mature and immature. Verse 5. Since then, man perceiveth that words at best are but a slow and coarse representation of the soul's conception of things. How much farther distance lieth a God's wisdom beyond the reach of mortal understanding? Could man in a moment of time recollect all he ever learned, he would be wise indeed. Hmm. Yes, I believe so. Wert thou, excuse me, wert thou in tune with thyself, such would be thy wisdom, to advance in such direction whereby man becometh attuned first with himself, then with his immediate surroundings, then with the magnitude of worlds, then with Jehovah, so that he moveth, acteth, and comprehendeth harmoniously, is to become one with the Father, which condition awaiteth all men, and is called in the high heavens nirvana, because to him that hath attained it, things past and things to come are as an open book. Yeah, I remember reading that. We in verse 6. He can look back at his own beginning in the world and even beyond, and whithersoever he directeth his eye, he can see and hear, even as if the matter were now. Bonjour, shalom, animalistic nature, shalom, shalom, divine blessing, cosmic cow. What's up, brother? Marvel not. Okay, this is verse 7, Book of Apollo. I'm reading directly from John Lant Plates. Marvel not, O man, that the gods reveal the words and signs of things long since perished corporally. The proofs he could give, thou couldst not understand. The proofs he could give, thou couldst not understand. Okay. Marvel not, O man, that the gods reveal the words and signs of things long since perished corporally. The proofs he could give, thou could not understand. For the basis of spiritual entity lieth not within the measure of the corporal senses. Nevertheless, remember Je is short for Jehovah. That's what it seems to be, JEH, period. Je hath given thee comparisons, as a portrait of a man showeth his looks even after his corporal body have perished, and yet the picture is but a representative. To the spirit, a corporal body is but a representative, being a manifested production of a spirit. To the spirit, a corporal body is but a representative, being a manifested production of a spirit. Okay. As out of corporal things, a new thing is produced and born in the world. So out of Je is born the spirit. Let me go back. I gotta make sure I'm not reading it too fast. As out of corporal things, a new thing is produced and born into the world. So out of Je is born the spirit of man. Neither leadeth the corporal spirit, nor the spirit the corporal, but Je doeth all. Think not then that when the corporal body is dead and moldereth back to original elements, that in like manner the spirit of man will resolve itself back into Jehovah. For spirit is not bound by similar rules. No, not watching that. No, you're gonna have to wait.
Look at the last one.
No, listen, you've already proved to me you got shenanigans on that computer to show
Just
me.
look at the last one.
Yeah, no. Take it away. Take it away.
Last one.
Take it away. No,
Please,
take it
Mom.
away.
Just
No,
look at the
take
last
it away.
one.
No, take it away. And you still playing it.
Please, just look at the last
No,
one.
Isaiah.
The last one is amazing.
It ain't going nowhere. Well, save it. I'll watch it shortly.
I can't even save it.
Well, you know what? Then leave it up there on your screen until I get done. Isaiah, you gonna talk to me till it plays, huh? Bye.
Mom, just look at the last one. Look, Mom.
What's wrong with you?
Is that the last one?
God gotta turn around, look my son at the gas station.
Why do you keep walking these? Why are these getting so many?
Let me find my spot. As out of court. Okay, that's verse 8. Okay, verse 8. As out of corporal things, a new thing is produced and born into the world. So out of Je is born the spirit of man. Neither leadeth the corporal the spirit, nor the spirit the corporal, but Je doeth all. Think not then that when the corporal body is dead and moldereth back to original elements, that in like manner the spirit of man will resolve back itself into Jehovah. For spirit is not bound by similar rules. As the corporal body groweth by aggregating to itself, so not so groweth the spirit of man, but by the opposite, which is giving away. That's good. Is that in there? Yeah, that's in there. Well, let me highlight it in both places. Okay. All right, so verse 9. Remember, O man, the more thou puttest forth thy soul to give light and wisdom to others, the more thou receivest, wherein thou shalt comprehend in the reason of things everlasting life to the spirit of man. So also to him that desireth to comprehend Jehovah, let him describe the all highest constantly. To him that desireth to comprehend the ethereal worlds, the homes of spirits long risen in nirvana, let him describe them. Fear not, O man, that thou shalt err. All the imagery thou can devise is surpassed millions of times in the magnitude of the Father's kingdoms. Till thou canst shoot an arrow without striking the air, fear not for thy weak thoughts. For thy weak thoughts. Thoughts. Clearly, they didn't have that slang word back in the day. Say thoughts. I know it's probably shortened for thoughts. Hold on. Yeah, weak. Apparently, the lowest thought it was thoughts too, but I don't know. No, seriously, I think it's thought, but it's a THOTS apostrophe thought. Like, I don't think we got the same meaning for thought that y'all did in the 1800s. Thought means something else today in 2022. But I'm almost certain it's thoughts based on how the sentence is being read. From the John Lant plates, we still on the first page. If you're reading this with me from John Lant plates, page 89 down at the bottom, the last sentence right before you see chapter 2. But if you're in Big Blue, it's page 96 at the top, and we're in verse 9. Okay. Till thou canst shoot an arrow without striking the air, fear not for thy weak thoughts, shooting a miss in jazz world. Thoughts. That's got to be in the title today. It's going to be weak thoughts. Hold on, let me write down so I don't forget. So I got to be out of here early. Hold on. Weak thoughts. Okay, chapter 2. I haven't really seen anything, just like little small, like, and the or something that's been removed, but nothing that, you know, unless he really did mean thoughts, right? Because, and I'm playing now, but thinking back about what it says, a careful examination of the original manuscript by a patient and careful reader has proved the original to be uniform and without contradictory assertions from beginning to end. So I don't know. No, I'm joking. Seriously, I can tell there are some little typos that common sense, and if you understand the English language and you look at the flow of the sentence, we be able to tell this is probably what he really meant, especially because thought, as we know thought today, was not even, although they were there, they didn't use the term for that, for them. They simply called them whores, whoremongers, depending on in the type of sentence you're using it and what's going on. It could be home wrecker, something along those lines, right? But they didn't use the shortened versions like we do today, hoe, called them a female dog, but they definitely didn't have thoughts back in the day. So this definitely thoughts. Till thou canst shoot an arrow without striking the air, fear not for thy weak thoughts shooting a miss in jazz world. Chapter 2. I, Apollo, earthborn of the continent Pan. That's something I didn't pay attention to the first time. I didn't realize Apollo came from Pan. Okay. I, Apollo, earthborn of the continent of Pan, submerged by Orion chief by Jaz's command, proclaim of Jaz's name, peace and wisdom unto all nations and tribes of men. First, against all vanity and self-conceit in the souls of men, wherein wherein every, okay, I thought it was every, but that's definitely a D, a DR. That's definitely EVDRY. Maybe he was typing too fast and I don't know. Maybe the line of light didn't catch it. Okay, every. Okay. First, against all vanity and self-conceit in the souls of men, wherein every cycle asserteth itself wise and great and learned, and ancient fools. And the ancients fools. For the evidence of wisdom lieth not in learning one thing only. Okay, it's an A here, but it's probably a typo. For the evidence of wisdom lieth not in learning one thing only, but is the adaptation of man to Jehovah and his works, in which measure the modern and the ancient stand not upon their judgment in the matter, but by Jehovah's. For if the ancient was not perfect in his place, neither art thou, O man of this day. But before the gods are all the ages adapted as Jehovah created them. Judge not him, for thy judgment is limited. That which was profitable to the soul of man, the Father revealed to the ancients. That which is profitable to the soul of man today, revealeth he this day. For which reason I, his son, am come to fulfill my labor, even as all men in time must complete that which hath been assigned to them. Assigned to them. Okay. We at verse 5 now. That's good. So everybody got something to fulfill. While we learning here, we growing. While you here, you get some type of task or assignment that you have to fulfill, right? First starting off, everybody kind of like on the same playing field. You're trying to work your way around. Just like going through school. Everybody go through general school together. Elementary, whether you be in homeschool, the public school, private school, whatever, right? Everybody kind of go through those first few years of basic education. As you get a little bit older, some choose not to, but some choose to go on and go to college. And there's a big group that goes to college, but then, and you kind of get a feel for what you think you might want to do, right? You may change your major a few times, and some people may not. They may stick with it all the way through. And then there are some that specialize even further, and they go to get their master's, then their doctorates, and then they continue to do like very specialized training, right? But though the group gets fewer and further in between people, right? Because some people they just choose not to specialize. They're okay, and that's okay if you don't specialize, because you could be needed at the lower levels. Like you could come back and teach down at the lower levels, right, and take your place somewhere along here to help the masses of humans that are flowing through here to raise up and go on, or whatever place it may be, in business, construction, in the education house, in the food industry, wherever, right? Sports arena. Everybody takes their place somewhere, even if it's just at home, raising up children who will one day change the world. And that is one of the most important, amazing jobs, because you are responsible for the product that's being put out here in the world. Every mother and father, but even more so, parents who homeschool, because that's a direct education that's literally going to transform the world in a different way, right? Okay. At least that's the hopes. Okay. Verse 5. To rebuke vanity and self-conceit in them that perceive not wisdom in things long past, but applaud themselves without just measures before Jah, wherein the gods perceive their vanity and pity them, hoping rather to exalt their minds, that they may learn to perceive the Father's hand manifested in all things. Tony, shalom. Turn thine eyes inward, O man, and look at the spirit of things. Make thyself as a God, looking down on a new earth, where man hath been quickened into life and attained to strength and learning. Behold, his palaces and temples, his work in stone and iron, gold and silver, his knowledge of the sun, moon, and stars. Behold, his palaces and into life. Hold on. Behold, his palaces and temples, his work in stone and iron, gold and silver, his knowledge of the sun and moon and stars, with written books to read, with clothes for the body and shoes for the feet, with great generals and armies of soldiers, and with the land cultivated. Are these civilized and war abounding? By what right hast thou made thyself a judge, O man? Who hath measured the inhabitants of earth and found them pure and wise? Do more people now live on the land in peace and happiness than in the many cycles, than in many of the cycles past? Because thou art different in many excellencies, thou shalt also remember that many great inventions are forgotten. The world hath been peopled over many times, and many times laid desolate. Who hath been the chief enemy to man, and who is his chief enemy today? Is it not thyself? Think not, O man, that because a few people perceive, there have been, hold on. Think not, O man, that because a few people perceive the higher light, the world is wise and good before the gods. For in all the ages there have been a few. Yes, today there are a few, more in number than in the ancient days. And this is the sum of the enlightenment of the world. Hear ye, man, I proclaim harmony, symmetry, and music. Verse 9. Okay. Oh, hold on. I just remembered something I want to tell y'all from yesterday's reading that I remember. Hold on. It's about the degrees. And I thought about something in correlation to the bondage of Israel. And well, the faith is the true chosen, rather, who was always kept in bondage. And we'll talk about it in a second. I didn't even get a chance to finish looking into it, but while I was just thinking about it, it just kind of clicked a little bit. Okay. Verse 9. Hear ye, man, I proclaim harmony, symmetry, and music. I am of the days of the fountain of these talents descending to mortals. I am of the days of the fountain of these talents descending to mortals. Okay, harmony, symmetry, and music. I was as a shapely stone in Jehovah's edifice, and by hard toil, a fashioner of the flesh mold of men and women. As the ear of one man heareth music, and he crieth out with delight, a tune, a tune. And as the ear of another man heareth music, and he cannot discern, and he crieth out, a noise, a hideous noise. Wherefore then shall ye not judge them and say, the one hath an ear for music, and the other not? The one is one with the music, the other being discordant himself, declaring there is no tune, but only noise. To which will ye give preference in judgment as to music? Who hath not beholden Jehovah, the all person? Who is it that crieth out, I behold him not? No harmony, no symmetry, no music, no complete whole. And to which will ye give preference in judgment? Is not the judgment of the perceiver higher than he who perceiveth not? This I declare, there are many who perceive the all person, and many who deny him. If then the lack of an ear for music maketh a man dumb to a tune, is not the lack of spiritual harmony? Is it not the lack of spiritual harmony that hold on, it's two that's. Is it not the lack of spiritual harmony that causeth man to perceive not the everlasting presence of Jehovah, the all person? Hear me, angels and man. Can a man learn to sing who heareth not the harmony of a tune? How much less then can a man or the spirit of the dead harmonize with the eternal whole if they perceive him not? Let's see it. All that looks about the same. And I got that highlighted. And we at chapter 3. Uncle JB, shalom. Auntie Belinda Brown, shalom, shalom. Ali, shalom. All right, y'all. No changes, big changes I've noticed so far. If y'all catch something that I missed because I didn't get a chance to go through here, just shout it out. When I look up, we'll look at it. Okay. What we got? 33 minutes. Oh, Isaiah came and took up some of this time with his shenaniganizing video. Okay, let me see. We'll read this chapter 3 because it's pretty short. Okay, chapter 3. I, Apollo, proclaim an age when man on earth considered not harmony, nor symmetry, nor music as gods. And Jez's voice came to me in the Ethereal firmament and place of Remus, saying, we're on page 91 of the John Lamp plates. Now, the book of Apollo, son of Jehovah, on page 98 at the top of Big Blue. Verse 2. Apollo, I'm sorry. Wait. What? Oh, my page. I missed my page. Okay. Oh, that's what screwed me up. They got it in verse 2. Hold on. They got it as verse 2 in Big Blue, but this is all of verse 1 and verse 2 is all of verse 1. It's all of verse 1. Let's see. Okay. Let me just read it over. Let me read it over. Tabitha, shalom, shalom. I'm gonna read it over. Okay. Chapter 3. I, Apollo, proclaim an age when man on earth considered not harmony, nor symmetry, nor music as gods. And Jed's voice came to me in the ethereal firmament in the place of Remus, saying, Apollo, my son, god of Sutga, Donga, and Ta, behold the red star, the earth. She cometh through thy dominions. Go to her with thy hosts, sufficient number, and give her a new god, and call his name Apollo. Behold, neither men nor angels on the red star comprehend the harmony of my works, and because of their own inharmony, they deny me, being blind to my person. Go thou, my son, and make them idolaters of harmony, symmetry, and music for a long season, that they may become organically attuned from the time of their birth upward. That's good. Upward. All of that was verse 4. Okay. So here's where they start introducing idols, right? But it was for a purpose. Till they get tuned to the creator from the womb, right? Because they pretty dumb down there right now, right? They say it's gonna take a long while. Give them idols, teach them about music, symmetry, and harmony until they're organically coming out, understanding it from the womb, right? Think about the fact, Shebrew posted a video. I think it was Shebrew that posted a video yesterday with babies dancing. They come into the world different now, right? Some of these babies now, they come in 2 days old, they scrolling on the iPhone and figuring out what all these buttons mean. While you sitting there, I'm checking emails. They opening up apps, they redesigning it with a touch of a couple buttons. I'm like, wait, what you just do? How you do this? Show me how to do that. Right? They're coming out from the womb way more advanced than they used to, right? Coming out with the rhythm, they dance. I'm like, oh, look at little Ray, right? He got more rhythm than his daddy, right? Look, seriously. Hold on. I'm read verse 4 again. Behold, neither men nor angels on the red star comprehend the harmony of my works, and because of their own inharmony, they deny me, being blind to my person. Go thou, my son, and make them idolaters of harmony, symmetry, and music for a long season, that they may become organically attuned from the time of their birth upward. I, Apollo, called together 100 million Jed's sons and daughters and told them what Jed has said. They answered, we have examined the red star since the time of Juan and perceived truly the time has come for thy labor. Did you sleep down here all night? Or you just came down here? All night. Too cold in your room? Oh, wait, he's still up there? I ain't see neither one now. Okay. See, call together. Hold on. What verse? Oh, okay. 5. What? There is a small change. They interchange thou with Je, the shortened version of Jehovah, in verse 5. Hold on. Wait a minute. And I called together. I, Apollo. Yeah, they adjusted the sentence a little bit. Okay. In the John Lant place, it says in verse 5, I, Apollo, called together 100 million Jed's sons and daughters and told them what Jed had said. The Big Blue says, I said, I perceive thy wisdom, O Jehovah, and I called together 100 million of thy sons and daughters and told them what thou hast said. Not a big change. Okay. We'll keep going. I, Apollo, called together 100 million Jed's sons and daughters and told them what Jed had said. They answered, "We have examined the red star since the time of Juan and perceived truly the time hath come for thy labor, O Apollo. Thus saith Apollo, God of three Etherian worlds. For this glorious world is cut off. I think it's world. Has come for thy labor to deliver." What is this? Hold on. Work. Okay, not world. Work. Okay, for your glorious work. Okay. For this glorious work, I have assigned 7 Teres and Danga. I have assigned 7 Teres, Teres, and Danga. Thither gather your hosts, where is prepared a place of rest and comfort. The earth and her heaven shall be left in darkness for 30 of her days, having neither God nor lords. So my legions departed for the earth in Etherian ship of fire, and they delivered according to my decrees. And earth was without a God or lords for 30 days. And the voice of Jah came to me, saying, O my son, thou that springest from the land long since submerged, who has spanned many of my worlds. Behold, the legions of Su and his mighty resurrections are still preserved to mortals and angels earthbound, of the gods and goddesses who danced and sang before men, and of the uneven match betwixt spirits and gods. Profiting in this, the people of the Red Star have become rich in rites and ceremonies, and preferring the swift-footed to the slow, the nimble to the clumsy, the Lewis have well laid out the road to thy success. So I perceived beforehand how I should proceed when I landed in the lower heaven of her earth. When the time came, I departed. O Jehovah, O Jehovah, how shall I comprehend thy designs? Thou drivest me back to the time thy angels came and stood man upright, saying, Be thou a man, and be thou a woman, but they would not. Again and again thy pitying hand stood them up, and thy voice came saying, Talk, O man, come, thou shalt. Is it help? Because it looked like the L and the P is on top of one another. Put upon me, talk, which help. Okay, I found it. Talk, O man, come, thou shalt help to perfect. Okay, yeah, this is the P and the L, or the L and the P and help is on top of one another. I just want to make sure that was help. Talk, O man, come, thou shalt help to perfect thyself. But man was slow in perceiving wisdom, that which came to his flesh he loved. I remember the earth, O Father, men and women with long hair hanging down, and hands with claw nails, fierce and warlike, and hair in tufts and short curled, whose eyes were drawn down like a lion's, and mouth wide and falling open like a dog that is tired. He sounds demon possessed, don't he? Therefore thou hast called me, and I perceive thy double purpose. For man left alone would select and mate and evolve to terrible war. And thou storest here an idol to unfit him for cruel deeds. Unfit him for cruel deeds. Okay. That was in the verse 17. Okay, and this chapter almost done. It's like 2 more verses. Thy hand took me up, thy hand sent me down. I had learned not to fear. The tree of faith had grown in me. I knew the secret of all power. As a mortal goeth into a dark cavern where the air is damp and unacceptable to the nose, so came my host, Ojed, out of Etheria into the vortex of the earth, the dull atmosphere. Thy voice came to me saying, go around the earth with thy onya. Yeah. With thy onya, stir up the atmospheres, they that know no higher heaven. Behold, they have mutinied against my God and Lords, have rejected my preferred wisdom. Their delight is in war and the deeds of mortals. As men gather around to witness beast in battle, so gather these millions of spirits to witness kingdoms of mortals in war, fire, and plunder. And by their presence, urge men to cruelty and cunning horrors. And that's the end of chapter 3. And we're going to pause right here because we're at 46 minutes. So not much change here in these first few chapters of Apollo, right? The only thing that we need to be sure of is Thots. No, I'm just joking. Hold on. Let me get this. I'm going to have to use this one. Keep my spot in here. Okay. Right here. Okay, so, I mean, everything else, it seemed like it's flowing. Did y'all? I don't think anybody caught anything. I didn't see anybody point anything out. Miss Amazing Wonder, shalom, shalom. Keith, peace, love, and light, sis. Okay, so that's it for that. But let me bring out a point. I didn't finish thinking it all the way through because it kind of just came to me. I don't know. I got to finish thinking it out fully and looking at stuff. Okay, so yesterday when we were talking about the degrees of the prophets and how after the first degree, only the prophets were privy to it. He's back to his normal stuff today, y'all. Everybody was worried about you. They said, hey, I was going to say a prayer for you.
Thank you.
He said, thank you. Okay. What was it at? It was in let me read this. Is it in this one? No, it was the what you call it? What I do with it? The Anubis jank. Did I take it upstairs? Hold on. It's sitting right here in my face. Okay. I was using it to guide myself on the page. Okay. Here where it has the second degrees, the Anubis, the rites and ceremonies, the haunted chamber. Okay, it says something down here. That it just kept coming back to me, right? And I thought I highlighted it. Yeah, down here at the bottom where it says, and it has it in big blue. It just kept sticking out for some reason yesterday. And it started sticking out. I put the video back on just to make sure. I didn't say I was gonna post something for y'all because I couldn't remember if I had or had not. But anyway, I let it play in my ear. And when I got to this part, it just stuck out. I'm like, wait, I need to look into that. Okay, so down at the bottom, after the 5th degree, right? Okay. I just read the whole last portion of it, right? Listen. And this is in the John Lamp plates on one page. If you scroll through, it's page 28. Well, actually, I forget. I didn't put the page this was if you're counting by the PDF numbers in the PDF, but at the bottom of the John Lamp plates, the written number is page 283, right? It's at the very bottom of that page. Such was the time of wisdom of God that only faithists received the degrees, save the first degree, and therefore the greatest knowledge of the earth was kept in secret with the faithists, right? That portion right there, the greatest knowledge of the earth was kept in secret with the faithists. And then it goes on to say, and the king's people, even the richest and most powerful, were beholden to the sons and daughters of the faithists to build a palace or temple aqueduct or canal ship, or any other great affair of the fifth degree were employed to superintend the work. I'm sorry, faithists were employed to superintend the work. And I started thinking about the Hebrew slaves, right? And how as the story goes, Egypt held them in bondage, right? And used them to build all of their stuff. That's the thought that was trying to develop in my head. I was like, okay, so could it be not that they was the God's chosen, as the story goes, of why they held them in bondage to build all of their stuff? Could it be that they were very well advanced, and because they were a non-violent people, we get all the shenanigans and stuff, but get where my thought was trying to develop, right? Like I said, I'm not done thinking it all the way through, but this is what seems like it's trying to formulate. It's could it be that they held them in bondage because of their wisdom and knowledge, because they had them building everything for them, right? And they weren't going to fight back because they were non-resistant, right? We know that eventually Israel, we know from reading through Oahspe, that Israel, before they were called Israel, they were called faithists. Remember, wherever they were on the face of the earth, they were called something different. But Oahspe lets us know that no matter what they were called, when they served and worshiped the Creator only, they were faithists, right? So that's the thought, right? It says, and such wisdom. And when we read through here what the degrees are, I said, well, that would kind of make sense that they would employ them to build it and put those of them with the higher knowledge over the other ones with some of the other understanding of the different degrees, right? And it tells you, let me just read through the degrees again, right? And we find this, it's in the Book of Wars. The second degree, it's a teaching not just of physical things, but also spiritual things as well, right? So listen, the first degree everybody was kind of on, right? Which was, and the angels taught mortals by the voice, the mysteries of spirit communion, how to sit in circles and crescents, taught the four dark corners, the four bright sides, taught them how to ascertain what grade in heaven spirits came, how to keep off evil spirits, how to attract righteous spirits, how to develop in Suis and Sargus, the secrets of falling water, the applications of lotions to the skin that would make poundings and wrappings, right? Everybody's kind of like on that level. But as you go up higher and you walk with the Creator more, there's a little bit more wisdom that's given to you, and it's given in degrees, right?
Let's get that.
The John Lamp, please. This is what we have been talking about.
Is this like a CIA document? No, this ain't a CIA document.
No, not that. It kind of looked like the CIA document, though. Okay, so the second degree taught the people of the Great Spirit and his secret names. Oh, the second degree taught the people of the Great Spirit and his secret names, taught them his high holy heavens where all is rest and happiness forever. Whoever took the second degree had to live 1 year with the poorest of the poor, going about soliciting alms, reserving only the poorest of things for himself. And if he found a person naked, he must take off his clothes and give them to him, and give them to that person. Men and women alike served the same conditions. The third degree taught the dominions of God and the Lord's, and the place of their abiding, and the irrespective labors in heaven. And the members must learn the names of the gods or lords and the deviant laws, the words of salutation, anthems, prayers, praise, the positions of utterance, oratory, the orders of marching, to write sacred names, the secret of begetting pure offspring, and the key to the two preceding degrees. Some of this information was actually taken and combined in some of the books. Matter of fact, not some of, all of Damon Brand's books uses some of the names of the Creator, the different pronunciations, how to pronounce them from the gut, making a guttural sound, all of those things. You ever see in movies how they use different names of the Creator or Hebrew words and stuff, or they may not tell you what they're using, but if you got on the subtitles, It'll say ancient Hebrew, different things like that. So they use a lot of these things and they put it in movies. And a lot of people do magic with some of the ancient words and ancient terms and the more ancient names of the creator, right? So like I said, when I listened to myself rereading this, all of this started formulating. I was like, oh shoot, yeah, that's right. Because I got a few different names. A few different books with the it has like the 72 names of God. It's a few of them. The 72 names of God, the man, it's right down the tip of my tongue. Anyway, I got like 4 different books. Some of them have some of the same names. Some of them have some different ones. Some of the magic books that I got and I was researching into, I noticed that they use a lot of these names that some other authors had written about the names and given detail and how to actually pronounce them correctly, right? So I'm like, this is interesting. So over the years, information that belonged only to the faithists has been leaked out, so to speak, and more than just the faithists have it, right? Which is why they can practice some of this darker magic, because the names are powerful. Some of the words are powerful, right? But you're going to get different results based on how you're resonating as a spirit, right? So this is all of this stuff was coming to me as I was listening to myself reread this again, right? The 3rd degree taught the dominions of gods and lords, and the place of their abiding, and the irrespective labors in heaven. And the members must learn the names of gods or lords and the deviant laws, the words of salutations, anthems, prayers, praise, the positions of utterance, oratory, the orders of marching, to write the sacred names, the secret of begetting pure offspring, and the key to the 2 preceding degrees. The 4th degree taught the arrangement of the heavens, the places of the sun, stars, and moon, the places and grades of the unseen worlds, the localities of the lower and higher heavens, places and dominions of false lords and false gods, the place in Hada and of hells and knots, of familiar spirits and also of fetals, both of harmless and destructive vampires that live on mortals and in swine and cattle, that induce mortals to eat flesh food for that purpose, the key to the place of the North Star, the position of the Earth's vortex, the vortices that move the corporal worlds and hold them in place, and the rules for building temples and pyramids with their spirit chambers. Also, going back to the 3rd degree. While I was looking through some of those more ancient names of God and pronouncing them, there was one in there that when I was reading about the lost keys of Solomon and some of the demons he was using, there's a particular demon that King Solomon used to not only build the temple, but also figure out like the disturbances between married couples, right? And so according to the book, King Solomon would talk to the demon, he pretty much ran them down, like, okay, who are you, what's your name, what you do, what's your purpose, what havoc do you create, right? And after they told him what havoc the demon created, he said, and how do I stop you, right? What do I need to do to keep you from creating havoc? And so the demon would tell him. But there's one particular one about creating chaos, and I forget the name of this particular. I got to go back and look in my book, but there is one particular demon. He said, well, in order to stop me, you have to take this word and write it out and post it in your home. And whenever that word, and it's like a simple word, right? And I'm just like, this is crazy. But what is even more crazy, at this period of time, me and my husband was having a lot of arguments, like, and it seemed like stupid arguments to where we would like not be talking to each other for days. And I just couldn't get a hold on, like, what in the world is popping off in this house? We like always arguing over the pettiest stuff, right? And I just couldn't understand what was happening. I'm like, you know what? He always got something going on with him. I ain't for his mess today. I'm ignoring him because he always want to start an argument, and vice versa. Sometimes I would pick with him, right? But it's it began to seem unnatural, because it was like, first of all, we argue and bicker sometimes, but at this time it seemed to be like increased tremendously, and I really couldn't figure out, because the money was good, everything seemed to be falling in place, like we weren't having any like major issues with anything, but it was just like this. It was like a spirit of strife was there, and so at this time I was looking over this and reading about this. I'm like, well, I wonder if that'll work here in this house. I was like, Father, forgive me for taking advice from one of King Solomon's demons, but I'm gonna just see, because I'm testing all things, right? So I took this word. It wasn't no crazy word. It's a combination of two words, right? And it was simply alpha beta, right? Alpha dash beta. I'm like, this is dumb, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because I was sick of the arguing. So we had a whiteboard, and in every room, in like the small, I didn't even make it big for real, right? Because I just didn't know, like, alpha beta, what is this? Get this crap off the board, right? But he didn't mess with it. So I wrote alpha beta. I didn't write it tiny, but I wrote it big enough to where if you would walk past, you would see it. You know, you may inquire, you may not. Whatever, Pam always writing on the board, whatever. But I kid you not, it worked so good that the strife calmed down. I told my sister about it, and she did it. And I kid you not, it worked. I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what's behind this. And clearly there must have been a spirit in here creating havoc in my home. I was like, but this worked. I was like, Father, I hope I ain't invited no demon up in here. I said, but according to this and what I learned from King Solomon, this is one of the things where the demon said you'd be able to thwart him. Right? Yeah, alpha beta. That was the word, alpha beta. So I wrote it on a little whiteboard that I had on the magnetic whiteboard on the refrigerator. I put it up there. We had one up in our room where we kind of like get a quick glance at our finances and what's going right up there at the top of that little calendar chart that we had posted in our room. I put alpha, beta. Down by the door, I just had like a little piece of paper. I put alpha, beta, and I just kind of rolled it up, and I put some tape on it, and I stuck it on the wall, because it was ridiculous, right? And the whole time I was doing it, I was like, Father, I hope I ain't doing nothing witchcrafty. I said, but these arguments, I said, this is getting bad. I don't know what's going on, but I kid you not. And there was like this peace that flowed through my house. I'm like, yo, I don't know. Maybe alpha beta in English, by putting those words together in another language, it says something like one of the names of the creators. I don't know, but it worked. Is my sister here? My sister Alicia, you here? She can verify that. Hold on. It's interesting. Like, still to this day, I don't really understand. I don't know, but it worked, right? So I'm just saying. So some of these things, when I was re-listening to myself read over this, all these little bits and pieces started coming back to me. And I'm like, well, I'm wondering now, not just because they were strong and they was able, they had the bodies to build structures and they was able to last out there in the heat. Maybe it was because of the higher levels and degrees of wisdom that they had to be able to build certain things and structures, where they had the wisdom to understand how to dig out canals and all of this other stuff, right? So that's the whole point of me coming back to here. Did you have to pray? Did you have to pray or do any other thing using that word? Look, I'd be foolish sometimes. While I was doing it, I'm like, Father, I'm gonna test this, like, because if it didn't work, all hell would have broke loose even more in my house, right? So I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna just test this for a little bit. And I was kind of just like, oh, I put it up there. But if at any moment what I reason in my head, if at any moment, if things get a little bit worse, I'm going to erase all the alphabetas from everywhere I put them, right? But I was testing it, and I wanted to know if what I was reading in here was garbage or not, right? Yeah, I mean, it sounds plausible, right? We think about King Solomon. Oh yeah, I want some of the wisdom King Solomon had, right? I prayed the prayer King Solomon prayed and stuff. Like, hey, don't give me no riches or nothing. Give me wisdom. And seriously, that's really been my cry. And then when I found out about King Solomon and he had that same prayer, I was like, oh snap, right? And so, but yeah, I didn't pray any kind of prayer or anything. I'm just like, I saw it, I read it a few times. I'm like, I wonder if this will work, because this is getting bad. Like, we shouldn't be doing this much argument over petty. And granted, we were younger, and younger couples have petty arguments, and you just pick with one another. But it was getting to a point to where it was getting really ridiculous, and I couldn't understand what was happening, So I didn't say any kind, like I said, I didn't say any type of prayer or anything. I just wrote it out on a couple pieces of paper, and I wrote it on the whiteboard, and that was it, right? And I'm like, Father, if this don't work, I'm gonna erase it, and I'm gonna burn the papers, right, that I wrote it on. But it worked. It worked. And I kid you not, even because that time the kids like, man, y'all always arguing, But then after I had did that, it's just, I don't know if it was that or if it was my faith in that believed it would help us, right? I don't know, because I'm sure our Lewis was trying to inspire us to keep us together and keep down the friction amongst us. I don't know if, like I said, if it was actually that, or my faith in something that would really help us is what set the peace off in the house. I don't know, but I know when my sister did it, and my sister at the time wasn't married. She just had a bunch of ruckus going on in her house with her girls and her oldest child and stuff. And sometime when my brother would come over and his whole attitude and all this stuff, she said, this is becoming a bit much. And she did it. And there would seem to be like well, I'll let she must not be here. She probably still at work, or she doing shift turnover, something like that. But she'll verify, because she tried it. She said, yo, this works, so. But yeah, I just put it there. I read it. I understood what it said as I was reading about it. And when I was reading about King Solomon and the demons that he controlled to help build a temple and stuff, and all the other things, the wisdom that he got from them, that he applied to his life and to different things he was doing, I was like, okay, so I understood it. I just understood what was being said, and I decided to apply it just like I understood it. So, but yeah, so this is quite interesting, and some of the names of the Creator or of God in Hebrew, however you saying, there's some other things that I tried and I practiced. There is a certain type of power, a magical power per se. Maybe not say magical, divine. There is definitely something to this, right? So the whole point of me saying all that is because I'm thinking that the faith is, when they're put in bondages, is not just because I completely despise and hate you and we're gonna get rid of you. They have wisdom that other people want to capitalize on. They have skills that other people want to capitalize on. The more that I read through different things, now some they really did outright just kill. But those who are walking, like I said, at like a higher level, even if they are captured, like think about Jeremiah, when they dropped Jeremiah in a cistern and everything, and the king found out about it. There was, man, somebody go save Jeremiah, just the different ones that they knew that the spirit of the Creator was upon them, and the wisdom that they had. There's like, we need to preserve these people, right? Because they were able to tap into something that nobody of any high degree, according to the earth realm, king or queen, or whatever position you hold, they had something more precious than the mightiest ruler on the earth, right? So that's why they captured them. That's what I'm like really getting as I'm learning about this stuff, just looking into things. It's interesting. Tabitha said, our lives will always be bombarded with juhas. We just have to navigate to our best understanding. Yeah. And at that time that I was learning about that, and I decided to implement something that I had learned to see if it actually worked. Do I still, since we moved here, I have not put it up. I haven't had a need to, because sometimes you know how sometimes things can be chaotic and you need like help for a little bit until you can, using the word Tabitha said, navigate things appropriately to straighten the roads out. We've had enough time from that point to navigate and adjust some things in our marriage to where that idol or crutch, we don't need it anymore. we figured out how to work through some things without always having to bring in a mediator. It was kind of like a mediator to at a point, so we can have some multiple moments of clarity strung together, so we can think with clear heads, right? Because especially in marriage, it can get real bad real fast, right? And sometimes you just need like a quick shutdown of all the chaos so peace can reign. And when peace reigns, we come back to ourselves, our common sense, and we can think straight and we can work through some things. And some people, they never have that moment of peace. I think that's what that was for us at that moment, because there was multiple times I was out the door, he was out the door. Like, we wouldn't have had as many children as we had. But I think our Lewis are determined to keep us together for whatever it is that the Creator has for us to do together and what comes out of our household. So that's why I think also some supernatural things happen for us, like immediate sometime, because to keep the family unit together. Hey, babe. All right. Okay, I'm meeting with the CPA this morning. Yeah.
You taking us to Alicia's house?
Because y'all not going with me. So, but yeah, Elijah said, like a quote from the Coburn Bible, quote, "Show me dedication and effort. That's all I ask." It's what stuck out when the Creator game be saying all his sons and daughters, right? That's good, Elijah. That's good. Okay, y'all. So yeah, I wanted to bring that point up, right? And I'm sure we're not done with this. I'm definitely still looking into this. And such was the wisdom. And I didn't even finish reading it, but we read the degrees yesterday. But it goes down, and the higher in the degrees you get, the more coveted the wisdom becomes, and it becomes secret. But anybody else who hasn't come through the previous degrees or climbed up the stairs to get here, they wouldn't understand it anyway, right? Which a lot of times when they put some of this stuff in movies, it just shoots right over people's head because they are completely unaware. They don't catch it. It's not even on their radar. But those of us who are studying and coming up, we can say, oh shoot, they've been tapped into something. They got stuff that they're putting out there, and they know the mass is not gonna catch wind of it. So they can speak truth and secrets in plain sight and in the earshot of many people, and they'll never catch it. They'll never catch it. Tabitha, we've been taught to hold on. You said we've been taught to shun evil. Oh, we've been taught to shun evil instead of learning to process. Oh, that's good, Tabitha. We've been taught to shun evil instead of learning to process it. Then we'll be able to get to the root of it. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. You like said that perfectly, Tabitha. Right? And sometimes you need peace to be able to process those moments instead of just, oh, it's of the devil, and everybody's still running around here looking crazy. Yeah. That's what we're learning to do, right? And let's hop over to the field guide to the spirit world. This is definitely a great help because it helps us, like you just said, process the evil, process it, learn from it. How do we even get here, right? Yeah, so, all right, y'all, real quick, we're going to read a page, no more than 2, because I got to get ready. Let's see. Page 96. Robin, shalom, sis. Shalom. That's good, Tony. He said that's the purpose of shadow work. Yeah, if you know what shadow work is, I guess you can kind of say there's some people call it like a new age term or whatever, if you into like the dark magic, but it's not really that. Doing shadow work is really working on yourself, doing self-reflection about yourself, not just the physical aspects, but the spiritual the spiritual aspects. You like checking in with yourself mentally, spiritually, asking yourself questions, trying to figure out the blockages you have, meditating, going back, getting to the root of things, being able to clear it up, walking yourself through the process of this. Sometimes people help other people walk through the shadow work. If you're patient enough with yourself and you got the time to do it, and you should make time to do it, it's definitely something you will benefit from. what you say, Tickler, hey girl, hey, shadow hunting of self. Yes, it's cleaning up your past shadows that follow you. Yep. Going there, cleaning out the closet with yourself, with other people, everything. All that encompasses shadow work, right? But yeah, this is where the Most High is within. I absolutely agree with that. He is the matter of fact, that might be our I might use that. He's the best. What you call people that help you with shadow work? People that help you do shadow work. I was gonna say he is the shaman. Okay, thank you. We're gonna use that. The creator is the best shaman. Okay. All right, let's hop over to page. Yeah, be safe, Elijah. Have a great day. Page 196, and we're just gonna read to the it's a lot, but we're gonna read to page like 198. We're gonna read 2 pages, like the middle page 198. Okay. Page 196, and this kind of stopped in the middle of talking about different is giving different examples about different people and giving the physical symptoms that have happened to them that key you in so that there might be some overshadowing going on with them, right? Page 196, the last paragraph at the bottom. In a similar scenario, the obsessed boy Zach had suffered 7 operations for congenital intestinal problems. Likewise, did Dr. Fior's patient Howard, quote, pick up an earthbound entity, end quote, at age 4 during his tonsillectomy. Fior states that a great many of her patients were possessed when very young, quote, especially following hospitalizations for such surgeries such as tonsillectomies, or severe illnesses. Picking up a spirit that at that tender age and growing up with it, quote, on board, end quote, made it nearly impossible for them to discern the boundaries of their own personalities from those of their possessors. And that's the end of the bigger quote. Fior, 1987, page 3. Fior insightfully compares this encroachment to the immune system. The quote, aura is to the emotional, spiritual dimension of a person, as the immune system is to the physical body. Just as a weakened immune system leaves the individual susceptible to diseases, so a diminished aura creates a vulnerability to spirit intrusion, end quote. Every case is different. There are many circumstances that can jar loose or interfere with the natural composure of mind: grave illness, intolerable strain, total exhaustion, blackout, accident or injury, indeed trauma of any kind. In Egypt, for example, quote, the origin of possession in a traumatic event, end quote, was generally supposed, Crapazano and Garrison, 1977, page 185, or fever. The deranged killer Dean Corll's troubles may have begun at age 7 with rheumatic fear involving a heart murmur and followed by blackouts. Trouble also began early for Marie Coe, the Philadelphia woman who would later smother 8 of her babies to death. Sheesh. Quote, mad of fever, end quote, as the old expression goes. Stricken with scarlet fever at age 4, Marie had lapsed into a coma and almost died. She was only brought around by a blood transfusion. Soon after, her family noticed, quote, a marked change in her personality. Quiet as the grave and withdrawn, as if in her own world, mentally slow, she was never the same again, end quote. Marie's comment much later, quote, I guess it took a toll on my noodle, end quote. There may be a bit more to her story. After the scarlet fever, she had been given a cocktail of experimental drugs by her doctors causing, quote, irreparable brain damage, end quote. Glatt, 2002, pages 10 through 14 and 19. Shock and terror also play their part. quote, the impingement by spirit entities, end quote. Dr. Wicklund stated, quote, the encroachment is made possible by sudden shock, end quote. Wicklund, 1974, page 20. It is second nature for our own spirit to withdraw from pain or horror. Every instance of the unhinged mind should be checked for early shock, trauma, abuse to find the original scene of flight. The victim, terrified and vulnerable, simply vacates the body like a house on fire, an automatic, not a planned or conscious response. Once you start looking for it, the incidents come in spades. For some, the sudden death of a near one is the trigger. One of Dr. Sagan's client housing an entity she called, quote, the ape, end quote. Remember when it came in, quote, it was when my father died. I was 13. My brother and my uncle picked me up from school, and the ape jumped inside of me, and the panic, and the ape jumped inside of me in the panic that followed, end quote. Sagan, 1997, page 12. It might also be noted that it might also be noted that the victim of untimely death may himself, quote, bulldoze his way into, quote, the nearest body, as Dr. Fior discovered using a technique of hypnotic recall. Her patient Tony was regressed to the time he had witnessed a fatal accident in which the victim, a young girl, quote, joined him, end quote, as he comforted the dying girl. Tony told Fior, quote, she doesn't want to leave me, end quote. In the same way, another spirit, quote, entered my Fior's patient, a male nurse, while he was administering mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Oh my God, you gonna die. I'm joking. But yo, who would have thought giving somebody mouth-to-mouth resuscitation will put you in danger of being demon possessed, bruh. Whew. Listen, in the same way, another spirit, quote, entered my Fior's patient, a male nurse, while he was administering mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, as the body's spirit died from a drug overdose, end quote. Fior, 1987, page 50 and page 114. In a similar scenario, a terribly disturbed girl, satanic victim named JD, seemed to be inhabited by Tashi, another satanic victim who had died. JD explained, when Tashi died, her ghost got inside of me, end quote. Sheesh. Hayden, 1991, page 262. Alicia, yeah, what? Ambu bag. What? What you say? Did you hear me earlier when I was talking about alpha beta? First of all, what you talking about ambu bag? Tabitha, I'm wondering when a person is in a coma, could an alter into the person's body? Yeah, it talked about it. I think we talked about that already. Yeah. Yep, definitely. Okay, I was telling them real quick, since my sister here, I was telling them about, remember how we was reading about King Solomon and the demons he was commanding, and how this one particular demon that created strife within households and amongst people, how when he was around, King Solomon asked, okay, how can we thwart you? He said, well, I can be thwarted by oh, okay. See, I ain't up on some of the medical term, ambu bag. I thought about that, right? Because I know they got that now where you can use that instead of doing mouth to mouth. I didn't know what it was called, right? Okay, so yeah, use that. But who travel? I mean, besides medical professionals, what's around with ambu bags? Now listen, okay, real quick. So remember the whole alpha beta thing? Remember I told you about it, and I was like, yo, we ain't argue in days. She was like, it really worked. Remember, we tested that out and we put that up and how it worked. I was telling them about that because we were talking about some of these degrees of understanding some wisdom. but I was telling them that you even tried it. Yes. Okay. So I was asking you earlier if you was there. I said, my sister can verify that we tested this and it works, right? And type it, since you weren't here, we always simply, matter of fact, you type it in, since you weren't here. What do we do? What do we do with that name or with that phrase alpha beta? Just type out what you did. When I told you about it, what did you do with that? Like the first thing that come to mind, just type it in there. When I told you what I did, what did you do? Right, wrote it on the board. Exactly. And did it work? Did it work? Did it bring down that strife in the house? I'll wait for the answer. It's probably like a little lag. She might be driving. If you're driving, girl, don't be. Yes, okay. So, but that was because, like I said, I'm not sure if it was the actual letters of that or if it was our faith behind it. But listening to how King Solomon was talking to this demon and the information that the demon was conveying to King Solomon, it seemed like, okay, this is a pretty simple one. We should be able to try this to bring down the strife in our house, right? So, but yeah, since she came in, I wanted to ask her real quick. Okay, so where we at? Hour 26 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna read this this next little paragraph and then we're gonna pause right here because we got to go. All right, we're on page 198, chapter 8, the overshadowing, the middle paragraph. If the host is healthy and strong, attempt at impingement may amount to no more than a momentary jolt. One of the FBI's premier profilers, Robert Ressler, who, by the way, coined the term serial killer, experienced this firsthand on the night of May 9th to 10th, 1994, when mad killer John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection. Ressler knew Gacy well from prison interviews and correspondence. The two had actually been raised in the same neighborhood in Illinois. On that fateful night, Agent Ressler recounts, quote, I awoke with a start, hyperventilating. My chest was heaving. I was having a weird anxiety reaction. I wondered if I was having a heart attack, end quote. He then turned on the TV and caught the news, quote, at such and such a time, John Wayne Gacy was executed. And the time announced was to the minute, the moment that I had woken up in that weird fright. Whether or not John Wayne Gacy had passed through my room on his way to hell just to scare the serial killer hunter who had grown up only 4 blocks away from him, I don't know, but it was an uncanny experience, end quote. Ressler, 1997, page 92 through 93. And that's what we're going to pause at today, y'all. Page 198. Because we got to go. So I hope you all enjoyed the John Lant plates today. Like I said, it wasn't too many changes in the Book of Apollo, just a couple different words, but that main word that stick out was thoughts, which we realized it was actually thoughts, right? But that's still going to be in the title, nevertheless, because it's funny, and I want to put it there. So I like using, some people may call it clickbait, but it's not clickbait, because if you watch our whole entire video all the way through, whatever is in the title, we always talk about it somewhere throughout the video. Now, what you thought we was going to talk about, whether we talked about it in that fashion or not, you know what, that's on you and what your expectations are, right? But if you've been here long enough, you always know it's some kind of slant to my titles, right? It's going to be something crazy or some mispronounced word or something like that. But it's nice and wholesome though, right? Your children could sit and watch and view it. And you won't feel no ways about it, right? Okay. All right, y'all, that's it. It is Monday, December the 19th, 2022, day 292 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1311. And today we read in the book of Apollo. We started on page, I'm sorry, I did not fix it here. We started on page 95 in big blue, right? 95, if you were following in big blue, 95, all the way to the end of chapter 3. which was on page 98, right? But if you were in a John Lamp plates, it is at the bottom of the page, you will see page 89. And we read all the way to the bottom of page 91. And those are the written numbers of it. I'm not sure if you scroll it, but it's probably, if you scroll, I think it's around about page 122 for Apollo. That's what I didn't write up here, but you'll see the written number. If you scroll and just looking at the bottom numbers in the document, it's page 89. That's where it begins. Put it here to 91. And then we hopped over here to the field guide to the spirit world, and we picked up on page 196, reading a little bit more of chapter 8 of the overshadowing, and we ended on page 198. That's going to be it. I got to be out of here. Father, we thank you that you are the greatest shaman, helping us to do that shadow work, right? That's what our life consists of. When we get adults and when we wake up, the first half of our awake life, awaken to the fact that we're spirits, is shadow work. Cleaning up all this crap that we done learned up to this point that we realized was a bunch of crap. Not everything, a good deal of the stuff we just got to get away, like do all that shadow work so we can begin taking in more truth and light, and we can continue to grow, right? And then maybe one day you can be a shaman, right? You can be a shaman too. All right, beautiful people. Kizzy, what's going on? But we about to be out of here. Bella, let's go. We got to roll, y'all. All right, so thanks for hanging out. If y'all got any more thoughts about these degrees and stuff and the development of this thought, what we was talking about earlier about Hebrews, actually, or Hebrews, we'll call it faithists. They like to put them in bondage, kill them, whatever, because of their higher degrees of understanding and wisdom, right? Like I said, that's probably not the best words to put that, but along those lines, right? I'm still looking at this, studying this out, right? Come on, y'all. Come on, Bella. I'm saying y'all like Jace was still here. Bella! You sure? Go double check. You did that last time and sis threw a fit because she wasn't asleep. Where you see her sleep? Where's she at? She on the couch sleep? Go check my room. She probably sitting on our bed. She sleep where? Okay. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Have a wonderful day. I'll see y'all back here bright and early tomorrow morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruce.